Welcome to the Dope and Tape Show, everybody. This is number 98. And I haven't said it in a while. Kind of forgot about it, honestly. But we do have some sponsorship spots. If you want to sponsor an episode, just let us know. We have some. You can do a pre-recorded commercial in the beginning, and in the middle, we can talk about it again as well. There's just options there. We also have a spread shop where you can get cool Dope and Tape hats like Bobby, a shirt like mine, and yeah, you can help support us. You can join the movement, and we're also happy that you're here watching or listening to us. We really appreciate you. I mean, 90, 98. That's a big deal. And I would say that we gotten a lot better because in the beginning, I mean, Bobby was freaking terrible.
Oh
So
my God,
we gotten a lot
Brian.
better.
Brian's still learning. It's all right.
Yeah.
You're getting there, bud.
But we got Tyson. Tyson's been, I mean, our friend.
How
I
many
mean,
times you
we
been on,
have,
Tyson? 5 times?
At least six.
Six.
yeah.
Yeah.
You came on more than anybody.
That's it. Fan favorite. Fan
Fan
favorite.
favorite for sure.
Huh?
I mean, top tier.
I'm not living up to my reputation, I guess.
Yeah. No, you just had a baby though.
Yes, I
Well,
did.
That's busy times. Congratulations
My
on
wife,
that.
my wife had the baby.
No. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. You did all the original work.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
It takes a lot on both parents, but yeah, we're happy to have you
it
back, and
does.
everybody watching us. If you're watching us live or the replay, like Brian said, we really appreciate it. Creeping up on episode 100. So we were gonna go live yesterday, but it just fell through. We felt like taking the night off, and we also couldn't get a guest, so we're gonna go live on Sunday, Bri.
That's right. So we're gonna be live on Sunday. My used to be apprentice, back in the day. I guess I could say that now. Back in the day, he was my apprentice, and he's got some cool things. So he just finished up backflow school, and then he has his level 2 in NFPA 25 NFPA 25, and so he's doing inspections now. First of the year, he's supposed to be getting his truck and going off on his own. So we're excited, and we kind of want to talk to him, see how his journey was, and studying and getting the certifications, as well as backflow school, how that experience was. If there's any questions he can think of, we put it on air, and then how excited he is for the future. So he's gonna come on Sunday. I also have a personal announcement.
Oh, ooh,
Career wise, on Sunday, I will announce that, and I'm
ooh,
excited.
we're gonna let it
So
loose, huh?
I'm gonna let it loose. I've been keeping it together for a while. I've been wanting to tell everybody, but Sunday I'm gonna let y'all know. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. It's gonna be great.
It
Um,
is.
oh, we got Tommy Howard. What up? Good evening, Dope and Tape fam. What's up, Tyson? We got Matt Bass. Hey guys, watching while flying to Idaho Falls, Idaho. Idaho Falls. You're always on
That's
the
when you
move,
got.
Matt.
That's
Thank
when
you
you
for
got money,
watching.
man. When you can watch us live on a plane.
No, he's probably just on JetBlue. Like
I
any
don't know.
other normal.
Spirit doesn't have that.
You fly the weirdest flights, bro. Every time, as soon as he takes off, you can't talk to him until he lands again. I'd like to have JetBlue, and he's gonna get to get on my Wi-Fi.
I pass out.
Chad, what up?
First thing I do.
Darian, what up? You
I'm out.
sleep on the plane? I used to be able to do that before kids. Anytime I
Mm.
flew, I could sleep on the plane. Now with the kids, it's like you get a little bit of sleep, but
I've never flown with my
I
boys.
think it's my wife
Never.
waking me up. When she sees me
So
sleeping, she wakes me up.
let's see here. In 2 weeks, I'm going to Dallas. So my wife's she's working, well, she's contracted with a law firm out there in Dallas, Texas. So we're gonna go for the Christmas party, and this is my first time flying with her, and I highly doubt she'll let me sleep.
That's
But you
is
know
your
those,
first time
like,
flying with her?
yeah. Yeah, we do road trips.
Damn, son.
So this is my first time in the plane. But if she lets me, I'll sleep. Like,
Did
watch a movie,
he
leave me
did he
alone.
learn to wear tight pants too? Yeah, he loved.
I did get some new pants. But look, guys, my legs are thick. All right. I'm sorry. I mean, if you're not there, maybe you should go to a weight room. Maybe you should eat a little bit more, and then you can get some thick legs. All right. Mine are thick, dog. So don't hate on me if you don't have some thick legs. All
There's
right.
people with bigger legs than you, and their pants aren't tight though.
Well, I did find me some new
It's the
pants.
size of the
So
pants, dog. United, he says. United's got Wi-Fi, strong enough to stream, baby. Woo!
Yeah, so I did find some American Eagle. They have straight with athletic, so you have more room in the thighs. So I did get some of those, and they're not skinny jean anymore, guys.
Peer pressure's a bitch. Don't forget to hit the like button and the subscribe button if you haven't. We're at 706, which is incredible. In 1 year's time, creeping up in 1 year's time. For anyone who is wondering why we're doing Wednesdays and Sundays, and it's because we're trying to get the episode 100 to fall on the same day as episode 1, which is going to be Monday, December 4th. So that's why we're going Sunday, and we tried to go yet. If you're wondering, and then we're probably going to take what, a week off, Bry? So we'll have, yeah, episode 100 on the 4th, and then nothing that
Yeah,
week.
yeah, nothing that
Boom.
week.
Try to cram some content, and
Right.
we're going to work on Spotify. And then we're going to
Yeah,
come back with Ashby,
yeah.
Sergeant Ashby, returning on the 12th. And we're actively booking after that. Obviously, probably take some time off on Christmas, but that's that. Tyson, how you been?
I've been good, man. How are you guys?
We're good. We're
Oh,
bummed
we're
out that
good.
right when we were last time we were in Vegas, right when we left, that eyeball thing opened up. We turned on
Yeah, I wanted
The
to see
speaker.
that.
the sphere. Dude, I see that
Is
thing
it as
all.
crazy as it looks on like the internet?
It's a trip. I see it every morning driving down the road,
It's
going to
always
my office.
different, dude. I would film it every day. Get on that.
And
Get on
it's
your
like,
story every
yeah,
morning.
like you're driving down the road and you just see this big shape. And like the road, like it's literally driving to it. It's weird. It's like a sunrise, or it's orange, or it's a giant emoji, like looking around. It,
Dude,
it is a trip.
you got to take a story on your
Yeah, you
Instagram
gotta take
every
some
time you pass
video.
that thing and show
Yeah.
everybody what it is.
It
'Cause
just doesn't feel real. Like when we're watching it, like on like TikTok or Instagram or whatever, like it doesn't seem real.
right, it's
I'd like to
crazy.
think that all the videos of it that are on TikTok and social media right now, they can't all be real. I'm
No,
sure people are like putting images on it.
Oh yeah, well they have. I saw one on TikTok where a guy was like playing Call of Duty. It was like I was like, "There's no way."
Yeah, I don't know
there's
about
no
that.
on the sphere.
Yeah, on
Yeah,
the outside of the spear was like a guy running and gunning. Like I feel like that won't
It's a
that won't
sphere.
go
It's a
well.
sphere, not a spear.
Spear, spear,
Sphere.
spear. That's what I'm
Okay,
saying.
no, I'm just making
All
sure.
right, can we move on to some fire protection stuff?
Yep, we certainly can.
Maybe the day after Bob Caputo, I'm going to get continue education for my backflow. So every 2 years you gotta do 8 hours. So I'm gonna go um over there and then listen about backflows. If your area has and you had to go and get recertified um or continue education, I highly recommend getting a class that's hands-on on repairing. So you can ask questions, you can see all the things, and you can learn about repairing instead of sitting in a class and then going over a book.
yeah.
Yeah, it's way more beneficial.
Whoever's doing a lot of backflows needs to be making videos of the inside and the step. Like, give us step 1, step 2,
Well,
step
it's a
3.
weird thing in Georgia because let's say I have
What's up, Becky?
I have a backflow license, but in multiple counties, the majority of the counties, technically, here's the thing, technically, you need to be a master plumber,
Hmm.
but it's on the fire line.
Hmm.
So then it's like a real gray area. And I think so in that gray area, I wouldn't be taking videos and stuff like that.
Oh, I gotcha.
But I don't know how it is. How is it in Las Vegas? Is it kind of the same thing or
You got yeah to touch them, work on them, do maintenance on them. You need to have a backflow certification. Uh,
what about the plumbers? You have to have a plumber certification as well?
I don't know. I don't have a backflow certification. I don't really work on a whole lot of backflows. Um, in Nevada, the water district is requiring all complexes and properties that are going in now. So new construction, if you're building that your building is gonna have a antifreeze loop on it, you can't put
I
a
thought they were
DCD
going
in.
away with those. They're
You
still
can't
doing
put it.
antifreeze loops?
Yeah, we still do antifreeze loops here. You
Whoa.
can't put a DCDA in. It has to be an RPDA.
RPZ, right?
RPD,
RPD.
reduced pressure, reduced pressure detecting relief valve.
Right. So the difference is it's dumping into like a hose or
It dumps to the atmosphere.
okay, so it's not well, yeah, well there's sometimes a cup underneath it. You'd have to have an air gap
Yeah,
under yeah, so RPZ or RPD. Yeah,
RP.
that's the same here. Well, I've seen tons of loops with DCs.
Yeah.
But here in Georgia, we're phasing them out. We're getting them all out of there. There is a Hooters close by that still has it. I saw that on their awning, but yeah, we're tearing them out.
So we have a project. They want to redo the whole facade of their building. It's an existing canopy. And they want to like extend the canopy out and make it bigger. So we go walk it. We have to obviously modify the existing antifreeze loop on the canopy, add heads to it, whatever. We go open the valve box in the middle and on the outside perimeter of the property, and it's a DCDA. And we're like, you have to do a retrofit and change that out to an RPDA. I can't touch the antifreeze loop until you do that. So
That's true.
they got a quote, and it's like a significant cost difference. You got to rip up the whole underground and replace it with an RPDA now before I can even do the work on the antifreeze loop.
And that needs to be are you're doing that above ground? The RPD?
They're above ground. Some of them are in pits, like the old buildings
Really?
downtown. They're in a pit down underground, and then when you lift the lid up on the pit, it's filled with water all the way
See,
to the
I
top.
thought that with the RPZ or RPD, you have to be 11 inches or
Hey,
somewhere around that
can we say
above the
these out? Can
ground.
we say these out loud for the people who don't know what the hell the RPZD R2D2 is? What is RPD?
So these are backflow. So there's backflow devices. So you have a DC, which is a double check, and
Boom.
then this double check is a sealed backflow. So the RPZ, the RPD, which are the best, they are double check. But if there's irregularities or if there is a backflow, then it will dump to the atmosphere. So whatever contaminants are in that is on a dump to the atmosphere, making it a safer environment for whatever is before the backflow.
Well
Pull up
said,
an image of an RPDA on your computer there, Bobby.
Roger.
You
I
just
don't think we
image search.
talked about backflows before, but I think I've never. Well, I have seen, like I know it's a fact that on the code book that it has to be above ground and a certain inch above. So I've never even seen it in a pit, not an
Yeah,
RP
I've never
RPZ.
seen an RPDA in a pit. You're right about that. They're usually above ground and then inside of a weather resistant valve
Right,
box that's like
right.
insulated. But they got two big OS and Y valves on them. Water
Yep.
from the city comes in, goes up, goes through a check device, which has the pressure reducing valve on it. And then it goes back through another control valve back into the ground. And then it goes to the building and feeds the suppression system on the building or property.
So the
909
whole the
RPDA?
whole huh?
I don't know.
There's a
The whole
company.
idea of a backflow in whatever capacity it is to keep whatever contaminants or pollutants that got out um downstream of the
Hold on. I'm not there yet. All right, there we go. That's a big old girl, huh? What's the what is the weight on that thing?
listen to this, I'm sorry, but
that little silver one right there, those are just your, your little submarine, your bullets that you see on risers all the time. So it's just a
yeah.
smaller version.
Not as easy
I
to
like
work
those
on.
ones. Boom. I think I did that right. I don't really know. Did you guys follow along with that in the chat? Hopefully.
I
Yeah,
mean,
we
you
saw
look
it.
good.
It's a lot of quick. That's a lot of. Oh, did I mute them? Let me see. Oh yeah.
Still trying to figure this thing out.
Well, I showed everybody, but I think that I didn't have I didn't have your audio on over there. Maybe
You didn't
next.
have mine?
Maybe next time. Yeah.
Oh,
I might have
shoot.
shut. That was probably the best like minute of the show where
Oh
it was just
man.
my voice.
Yeah.
So that lovely sprinkler water doesn't contaminate potable water. Yes, sir.
That's correct.
Yes, sir.
That's
Fire
correct.
line and 3/4 bypass. So the
So,
They're having a problem.
RPDA is 2 RPZs on a 3/4 inch detector.
while we're on backflows, does anybody in the chat have any questions?
Double checks required on all new sprinkler systems in some states now. Reduced pressure, RPZ, reduced pressure zone assembly. If pressure gets back through the second check, it releases out the relief valve before it gets into the water supply. Damn.
It's the
That's a
best
Yeah, they
we
were
warning.
got
having
some,
they were
we
having
got
a
some
problem in the
stallions in
valley.
here.
Yeah.
They were having a
Go ahead.
problem in the valley with propylene glycol getting back into the main water source, and they were testing water throughout the valley, and they were figuring out that there was propylene glycol getting back into the main feed, and it was going into other buildings and going through water lines and even coming out of fire hydrants. So they're like, all right, we're gonna start requiring those on all new construction, and then anybody that modifies an existing loop as is, you have to retrofit and bring it up to an RPDA, and that's a
Whoa.
requirement that was sent out through the industry through the Las Vegas Valley Water District.
That's a big deal
Yeah.
because that's so freaking
Ooh,
expensive.
Joe's got a good question, and this is something that we just started doing. Do you install forward flow connections to flush backflow? So the last couple builds I did, that is a new connection we've been putting right next to the FDC. It will be right outside with its own plate, and it doesn't have the exact same hose attachments on it. I have a photo that I could share, but it says forward flow, and then you can forward flow the backflow from the outside.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, I mean that's a requirement, no? When you guys are
I mean,
inspecting,
that's not something I've ever seen.
forward flow the backflow.
You will test the backflow as far as if it holds.
Yeah, but you want to flow that. You want to flow that thing.
I don't see why you would.
Well, we gotta have someone in here tell us why. What's up, Joe? I do, but that's what I'm saying. It seems like it was a newer thing because I've done many buildings where we didn't put that.
Yeah, I've never seen it. So if you have some footage of it in your ridiculous library of footage of you doing stupid stuff,
Tommy Howard says, Joe,
send it
I'm
to us. That'll
seeing
be
it a
great.
lot more on new installs in New York and pushing on our existing inspections. Annual forward flow is required. And
Huh.
so
Forward
and so you
flow.
don't necessarily I think that a lot of guys like when you have a fire pump and you're doing fire pump testing, like you can that can be your forward flow. Pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. So if you're in a building that doesn't have a fire pump, it just comes up like 6-inch underground, 6-inch backflow, you got to be able to flow that thing to its demand.
Well, of course. And then typically,
Ours is
if
usually 2.5 hose valve on the header somewhere to get all the shit out of the backflow and the underground.
what I'm saying is what it's like is not required, is and I've never seen a report say forward flow test of backflow on a separate report. Like I've never seen that as a thing or even heard of it.
Hmm.
And if he's saying that he's required, please like show me where. Like, is that a backflow thing or is that a counting thing? Is it? Because
Let's go back to August 22nd.
I don't think it's on NFP at 25.
Boom.
You ever
CM.
heard of that, Tyson?
Nope, I have not.
Yeah, okay, so maybe it was August 23rd.
That's a new thing. I like we brought this up.
Good question, Joe. I'm gonna pull up a photo
Yeah.
right now. I'm going to. Am I gonna email myself the photo? No,
So we have had so we got
I'm not. We're gonna go old school.
Yeah.
Give it a second. Give it a second. Boom.
Yeah. Okay.
Drain. FTC. Backflow
Shoots
forward
you right
flow
on the
test.
outside.
See how
Sure
we get.
enough, it says backflow on it. Wow.
And in the you'll notice the
Whoa.
FTC has got spinners on there, and the backflow doesn't.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
and then I think I got a picture of the inside as well, fellas. And so yeah, one of them comes down vertical with the one with the elbow is FTC.
Mhm.
The one that goes out straight is the forward flow. But if we want to see this whole room, if it will focus in time, boom. I love those pipe stands.
Yeah, those are nice.
That's it. That's how you do your forward
Wow.
flow.
Interesting.
It goes out
That is
full. It goes out the
interesting.
same size as the backflow.
So is this a 25 thing maybe somewhere in there?
Should I pull up the link, Doug?
I've never even oh, that's a good question. Does anybody write a separate report for this? I haven't seen
Tom,
this on a single building in Atlanta.
I don't even know. I went to nfpalink.com and it's not a thing. Let's go back to the chat. Boom. Okay. Oh shit, Matt's here. It's a requirement annual in NFPA 25, Chapter 13. Get the book, Bry.
What code cycle?
Spot on, Bobby.
On
What year
Forward
cycle?
forward flow is to verify that the backflow does not restrict the system demand GPM. You're ensuring you get your hydraulic design GPM through your backflow. Forward flow would be on the fire sprinkler inspector. Backflow guy, usually only a backflow guy testing with those hoses, which is why you should be dual licensed. A lot of the military do it. You're the man, Matt Bass. I don't have 25 near me to give the exact section. Yes,
bro, how can I be doing inspections for like
it is NFPA
9
25,
years?
Chapter 13. You've never forward flowed a backflow? There's
Not like
a lot of people
with
in
a
in danger out there.
no, he flown water on
It's
the sprinkler system.
oh, Alex
Oh,
Higgins in the chat. You don't really see that name a lot. What's up, bro?
no,
He's gonna be our guest on Sunday.
on
It is
Sunday,
not
yeah.
required to test forward flow in Georgia.
Well, he just so Alex just got done with backflow school, so he knows.
Damn, he doesn't comment much, but when Brian needs a little wind in his sail,
Thanks, brother.
huh?
Appreciate that. Thanks you.
Damn. It's also beneficial to the customer because you're moving a big volume of water through the backflow and flushing out all the garbage that will ruin the rubber. Yo, Mick, what up?
You definitely see that.
Yo, S Bach,
So,
what up?
with all these technical questions and everything, we did purchase NFPA link. So the dope and tape will have access to NFPA
We
link.
currently have it.
Yeah, currently have it.
I
We just
don't
kind of
know how
have
to
it
get
like
onto it. I thought
put
it was an
together.
ad. Let me see. I'm gonna Google it.
So Sean's gonna come on next no
What's the
2 weeks.
what's the credentials? Just the Gmail? Never mind. I think you texted it.
So Sean's gonna come and he's gonna explain the let's see here. What
How to
was it?
use
On the
it.
14th. Yeah.
The 14th of what? Oh, December.
14th of December.
NFPA?
NFPA.
Boom. All right. We know it's Sean. Shout out to Sean. But
Shout out to Sean.
say NFPA is coming on the
Yeah.
show on the 14th.
Right. And they're gonna explain the NFPA link, get us up and running. I'm
NFPA
excited to have it.
Sean, baby. I'm pretty sure you texted me that.
I did. I did.
A lot of text though.
You text a lot, bro.
Send a lot of pictures. Sign in with your credentials.
Hey, so anything going on in Shutter Island,
Going tomorrow.
buddy?
Going. It's not gonna be a good Friday without going out to the haunted island. I got to bring a new van guy out there, a service guy. He's not a new van guy, but he'd never been to the island. He'd been there years ago when there was a bridge, and
Yeah.
so I was like, oh yeah, I just told him to meet me at the meeting spot, and then kind of like the same way I got set up, where I was like, oh yeah, we're just gonna we gotta put it on a ferry. It's like, wait, what? And then I was like, there it is, and it's like so sketchy when that ferry comes around the corner because it's just like it's a barge. It's like a barge
Yeah,
being pushed by like a tugboat, and
on sand. And he's a transit, right? Didn't he say he's in
he
like
was
a
in a
port
little transit,
transit?
and the transits have like car wheels,
What do you have to do on the island?
the sprinklers.
Oh wow.
Well, it's been abandoned for years. Yeah.
There's occupied buildings out there.
No,
There
straight up Shutter Island, bro.
There
Like
is
real.
this building was active and live and had hundreds of workers and it had 1,000 beds and they evacuated it one day and blew the bridge up because the bridge was not safe. And so it's literally was like light doors left open, lights are left on, like sprinklers all froze during the Great Freeze earlier this year. And so we're still like trying to catch up and get it fixed. And then there was like they finally like allocated some money towards it to get us actually to go out there. It's obviously it's expensive to get out there and friggin' do work on the island where you got to take the van on a boat and everything's frozen. There's like 40
Wow.
there's like 42.5-inch crosses that are frozen that you got to get up there and bash them off with a 3-pound sludge and then try to get those 4 threads that are looking at each other perfectly back together.
Wow.
Typically with 3 thread by grooves. You screw it onto one piece and thread by groove the other 3. But it's old pipe, so sometimes you're splitting the seam as you're trying to groove it. And
Yeah.
a lot of the 1.5-inch pipe seems like it was bad because it's all split at the seam, so you're trying to replace 10/6s. And it doesn't seem like there's like any heat in the near future, so it just seems a little bit I don't know. Everything about it seems strange. And you're out there alone, but then like Tuesday, all of a sudden like a tow truck comes around the corner, flying around the corner. It's like a guy in a tow truck. I'm like, what the hell? Like he had to have taken the barge out there. Like what the what's he towing? And literally the service guy was like made a joke that morning. He's like, can you get AAA out here if I get a flat in my little transit?
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't think so, bro. And then there goes a tow truck. But there's like
Well,
a
this
church.
building.
There's a church. There's an old hotel. It's an old barracks, old armory. There's an old women's battered women's shelter, homeless shelter. There was an old recovery thing. That was like its big thing. It's like addicts went out there. They had an alcohol program and a drug program. But it has history all the way back to the 1600s.
Wow.
It has a great deal of history involving 1775, right before we became the United States of America, and like
Like the day before, right?
The British were on that island for a bit. Like King Philip put Native Americans on that island for a bit. There's a bunch of all war stuff out there, bunkers and batteries, and it's crazy. It's pretty crazy.
That's it. That's pretty cool to be a part of that and work there.
That is cool.
When you're there, you just like you feel like you're walking. You feel like there's people walking behind you. You're constantly like looking around. It's dark. Doors are slamming, and then all of a sudden, like for whatever reason, if there's a radio, it's plugged in and it's like on like a radio station. And it'll be like way down a dark hallway. There'll be like a flickering fluorescent light, and there'll be like a radio on. I'm like, shit, should we go down there? No.
How old are the sprinkler heads in this place? They all been changed out?
Yeah. So a lot of them are like 70s, but it seems like 40s or 50s pipe.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's weird. A lot of 3/4. Not a 3/4. That was a topic because I can't
Let's
go
see.
replacing all this 3/4. Like hundreds of feet of 3/4. You just gotta. At the end of every line, it's all hydraulic system. It builds its way up. There's not zone controls on the floor. It just all builds its way up. So
Now,
I don't want to start replacing all 3/4 at 1 inch and fuck up the calcs from 1940.
yeah. Hey Tyson, I know you messaged me with a great kind
What
of
up,
like
Daryl?
almost like a debate,
What up, Steve?
question or whatever, of that dry system absolutely having to have a dedicated inspection drain. Is that correct? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, I've ran into a situation where I had a dry system that was installed and it didn't have an inspector's test on it. They just had a drum drip valve at the end. I was like,
But it's at the furthest point, right?
no, the drum drip valve was on the end of a main.
Mm. But if it
And
was at the furthest point,
Right, was it the first
and if
point?
the drum drip would have to still be set up with a 45 and a head with the matching K factor, and then you'd be able to use that drum drip as an inspector's test.
Never, the drum jig was just coming off the end main, and it was drilled on the top, and it came up with a close nipple 90 over and then down and went to the wall, and then it went down. So I'm like, so the drum jet valve serves no purpose because it came off the top of the main.
Right.
Mm.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, it's supposed to be the lowest point. It's supposed to catch condensation.
Yeah, that doesn't work at all. That's
Condensation doesn't flow
terrible.
uphill.
What kind of
Huh?
fitter put that on? Like,
So
geez.
it's like condensation doesn't flow uphill, and they're like, oh, I'm like, where's the inspector's test at? I'm like, well, this is an inspector's test and a drum jet valve. I'm like, no, inspector's test has to be at the farthest line past the last head, and when you open it, you have to time to make sure that the dry valve trips in time and water gets to that last outlet in a certain amount of time.
Right.
1000% agree. I think some of the problems I've seen with the inspector test and drum shrimp is like completely lack of when a pre-action or dry valve protects like a server room and there's nothing.
Yeah.
Like, how am I supposed to test this? He's
So
like, I want you to test this, but don't introduce any water. Like, what?
yeah,
Like, how do I do that?
I don't remember what we decided on at the end, but every dry system should have an inspector's test. I believe it's
Yep.
got to have an inspector's test. Not every dry system has to have a drum drip valve. A drum drip valve is only required if you have a low section or an area that doesn't slope back to the main drain, and it would collect the condensation
But the
in that
drum,
area.
but
Or
the
if it's
inspector's test
trapped.
needs to be. I think it needs to be set up as a drum drip, so it can still collect. And
I agree with that. I
it'd
agree with
probably be
that.
outside anyway.
So
But
you're saying it has to have the 1 foot section of pipe that's a 2-inch
If you don't
section?
saying
if you
that
don't
it
want it
has
to, if you don't
to,
want it
I
to
don't think
freeze
it
every
has
winter,
to.
I would
But
make it longer than 1 foot. But
I
yeah, I
think
would say that
I think
because
it's good practice.
is it going to come off the bottom? I think no matter
Okay.
what, if you have a valve coming down off of
Outside?
a dry system, it should have a drum drip. So all my
Yeah.
inspectors test, I'd put a drum drip, but then on the inspectors test, like Tyson said, end of the main, furthest line, past the last head, put a 45 on the bottom of it, and then I put the a bandsaw head with the matching K factor, whatever head is on that system goes on the thing, so I can get the correct trip time.
Or you could just buy an AGF valve, and it has the 3/4 or the 5.6 K factor work already inside of it.
Ooh, Daryl
And you don't
says,
have.
"Did you get my answer yet?" Daryl, I forget your question.
There.
I was
I'm
supposed to
sorry.
ask you something, bro.
Yeah.
There's something about the flow switch thing. Refresh my
Oh,
memory, Daryl. Classic Ghost Adventures in the making, right, Becky? Fans on and creepy wheelchairs. Wheelchairs from
yeah.
like the 1880s, wooden with like
Wooden,
like you could just sit there and poop
creaky.
yourself. There's like a hole in it. Sounds like a spooky place. I've inspected a really scary place. Google the Letchworth Village. Ghost hunters all go there. Oh man, you're inspecting it? Tyson, talk about hydro tests. He told me about a code I overlooked. You can pitch a dry valve so drum drips aren't always required.
Yeah.
He told me about a code I overlooked.
As in like the 10 degrees that you're supposed to do downward.
Tyson, talk about hydro tests. He
So
told me
the
about a
dry
code.
systems I put in, there was like, for example, there was a large dry system at the airport, and I had to pitch everything 10 degrees. Is that kind of what you're talking about?
Well, dry systems, a
Quarter inch.
main
It's 1/4 inch per 10 foot.
1/4 inch every 10 feet, and I think branch lines are a 1/2 inch every 10 feet.
Hmm?
And you can't put in a looped dry system.
10
Dry systems have
degrees.
to be.
Well, that's what the plan said.
Yeah,
I was reading the
you
plan.
can't grid or loop a dry system, and you
They
also
got to be
can't.
free system only.
And I recently found out that you cannot tie multiple lines into one drum drip. Like if it's a low point, it has to have its own drum drip. It can't all tie back to one and utilize one drum drip
No.
because it creates a grid.
Yeah.
So you can't do that. Oh yeah, Daryl wants to know about a flow switch on a glycol system. If you
Flow
can,
switch on a glycol.
like if you have an old antifreeze system and you got to test the flow switch.
Well, the flow switch should be
Are
attached to the riser.
we flowing it?
Yeah. There's not a downstream like there's not a water flow switch past the backflow. And the backflow is before the entire system of a glycol or antifreeze system, however you want to say it. So there's no water flow switch. Um, if there is, so I have seen a loop
Oh, because the loop is after, like, at the end of a. I gotcha.
after everything. So I have seen a sectional, and then right after the sectional, it came off, and it was like test drain kind of manifold with a water flow switch to drain, and then it went right into a backflow and then into antifreeze system that protected the awning. So I've seen that, but the water flow will never pee past the backflow
Come on, Daryl, hit us back.
before.
Tommy, you know Tommy
I hope
Howd,
I answered your
Tyson?
question right.
Who?
Tommy Howd,
No.
New York, like a Syracuse, New York inspector. He really wants you to talk about hydro tests, and you told him about a code that he overlooked, the hydro test code. Tommy, I think you got to be a little more specific.
Yeah, there's a lot of hydro test codes, and
Yo, Richard, what up, Richard? This is Tyson. He's a
So
fan
is
favorite.
this a guy?
Say
Is this
hi.
guy that hit me up on Instagram?
Yeah, probably. Yep. We're all Instagram people here. Well, most of us.
So every jurisdiction, I guess, different. But if you want to go just off of what the NFPA says, and we use the word should and shall, Chapter 25, NFPA 13 talks about system acceptance, and it talks about whether the weather won't permit you to do a hydro test with water, then you can do a test with air because it's too cold, it could freeze. Or it talks about doing 200 psi on a system if the work that you perform on the system affects more than 20 heads. And then there's the next sentence down from that is modifications to an existing sprinkler system that can't be isolated. And it even gives you an example, like such as a relocated drop, do not require testing in excess of system working pressure. So if you were to take an existing sprinkler system in a building and you drilled 30 mechanical saddles on an existing branch line hanging in the air, and you dropped 30 sprinkler heads pendants down to a ceiling grid, do you have to pump that up to 200 psi?
If you can't isolate the rest of it, how big is the system? You're gonna pump up the whole rest of the floor you don't have access to that you haven't worked on? No.
No.
You
Exactly.
won't you
So
won't
you
test it.
can't, once you drill that mechanical saddle on the branch line and you attach it and you run your arm over and you drop, you can't isolate that mechanical saddle, that arm over, and that drop times 30. You can't isolate it from that branch line. So in that case, it doesn't require you to pump it up to 200 psi. You just fill it up with water, and whatever the static pressure is on the gauge, you could close the control valve and let it sit there for 2 hours and make sure you don't have any loss in pressure at static pressure. But there's a misinterpretation with that when people read it and they're like, oh, you cut in 40 heads? Yeah. You got it pumped up? No. Well, you have to. No, I don't.
Right.
Well, you affected more than the system. You affected more than 20 heads. You added 40
I
to it.
deal with this so often, bro. Like
I get that a lot too.
I'm working on like the 12th
Absolutely.
floor a tower of a hospital. It's all patients, right? Everything
Yeah.
below me's patients. It's a four. It's like a clover. It's 4 pods.
Yeah.
Each floor is a dual fed one system, one big system, and I'm only got access to one pod. We're redoing one pod, right?
Yeah.
Piping heads. Um,
Relocating
I
heads.
put it all to uprights to satisfy NFPA 241. Right now, we're still in construction, and supposedly mid-December, I'm going to be dropping them all back down.
Yeah.
They're going to ask me for a test certificate at the end every time, and then I got to go through this. I got to go through exactly what we're talking about. What about on the opposite pod over here? That's just like waiting to fall apart. You really want me to pump this up right now? Working pressure's 175 means I got to go 225.
It's on a
Not
fire pump too. It's on what
boom.
floor do you say it's on?
It's up there. Like we're on 12.
And there's a fire pump that keeps that system up to, like you said,
Boom.
175.
So when you fill it, that's your
A lot.
test.
That's it.
That's your test. Boom. If it leaks,
You,
I'm gonna drain it back down and fix it.
yeah, I can't leave it leaking.
And it's not gonna leak until I drive away. We all know that.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Yeah.
that?
So there's a misinterpretation with it. I don't know how else to explain it. They just, it's plain simple English. I mean, it's pretty verbatim. But there's always well, what if you cut all the branch lines and you cap them, and then you put a control valve on the main that controls only your space? Then you can shut it and isolate your space, and you can pump it up. Yeah, but that's not my scope of work. And you're making me do more of an alteration to the system than what my scope of work was to begin with.
Boom. What do they want you to do?
So
Add a butterfly?
yeah,
2 men, 8
so they want
hours.
you to put a control valve on the main, and then cut all the branch lines going through the walls to the next 5 spaces that way, cap them all,
Oh, geez.
and then just pump up that section.
That's 2 guys, 40 hours.
I'm not doing that.
Is
Jeez.
this episode 100? No. No,
Well,
it should say it right. It should say it right on it. Right on it, Dick.
98.
Doesn't it say it when you're looking at it? Episode 98 with Tyson?
Is it not?
Man, you oil guys. Brave as all hell, but oh, I don't know if reading's your strong suit. We got Tommy letting him know, and Chad welcoming him back. That's the one. So I couldn't isolate on an existing system, and I wasn't willing to pump up the whole damn system. You don't have to.
Yeah, if you relocate 100 sprinkler heads in a building, you take them from a pendant and you change them to an upright. The coverage is exactly the same. All you've done is relocated it. Or if you take a pendant that's existing and the ceiling level goes higher, and you take the dropout and cut it back times 100, they're gonna go, oh, you affected 20 heads. You got to pump it up. I can't isolate those 100 heads that I cut back 2 feet from the rest of the entire existing system. So the NFPA doesn't require me to do that.
Completely agree. I think we get that pushback from of course the AHJs. They're
Yeah.
not educated in that. And they're like, well, we want to see it. We've always gotten it. We want to see it pumped up. Is it pumped up? We're not gonna give you anything until we see it pumped up. And they just don't, they're not educated.
It falls short because they think of it as like a quality test. Like they want to check the integrity of the system. The whole point of pumping these up and doing hydros, it's not about the integrity of the system.
Yeah.
It's to check the human error. It's to make sure that there is no leaks and that stuff won't be not caught and leak and create corrosion, and eventually it'll rust out and you'll have a blowout or something.
This is your boy Daryl.
So you got the backflow, you got a RPZ, and then you have a water flow switch past the RPZ, it looks like.
Yeah.
And then
So
if that's correct.
So he's saying
and
how
then
does he flow that?
You have an expansion tank.
Looks like
expansion
2 of them.
tank.
Oh no, maybe
that's
going
the
to something
expansion
else.
tank. You have your loop. Huh.
So he's saying, well, how does he touch that flow switch?
You got to flow water.
I've never seen it.
You have to flow the antifreeze.
Yeah. Have them put new antifreeze.
It looks like there's a 1/2-inch ball valve right there after the flow switch.
So if you're gonna test it, if you're hanging a tag, and
I see a T on the run after the flow switch to another T on the bowl, and then I see a 1/2-inch ball valve off the bottom.
I think I also see a closed ball valve and a red tag. So I don't know if it's still operable, but if it is operable and you need to hang a tag and add it to your inspection, then you have to flow water. If they don't want to flow water, flow antifreeze, whatever, but they got to put it back in. And if they don't want to do it, then say that's no problem. I'll fail it. Do you agree with that, Tyson?
I would just try I don't know.
There's a drain valve on the loop, so you should be able to drain the antifreeze out of the loop, get it back to water. And a lot of people don't know this, but on the end of every single antifreeze loop, there's supposed to be a test port. Whether it's a 1/2-inch ball valve, a 3/4 ball valve, or a 1-inch ball valve, depending on the gallon capacity of that loop, you're supposed to be able to go to the farthest end of the antifreeze loop and put your little antifreeze tester under there and open the valve and get a dripper antifreeze on there and check the viscosity of the antifreeze.
Right.
Or the temperature classification, and make sure it's within where it needs to be. You could drain all the antifreeze out of it, fill it with water, and open that ball valve at the end and flow water out of that ball valve.
Fill up a barrel of that stinky glycol. That's probably one of the worst things that you could do as a sprinkler guy, in my opinion.
So what
Is
was
fucking
that?
around with glycol, draining
What's
it and
that
pumping it
compound?
back in. Ugh.
I don't think it was glycol, but it was mainly to protect freezers, and they had like a big tank of it, and then it became flammable, like like it would catch on fire if a
You're
head
talking,
went off.
you're talking about Freon?
Was it free?
No, I
They
think it was I
obviously
think it
they
was
don't.
the early days of the glycol and the
No, it
antifreeze.
wasn't too far away. I
It
want
was
to say, I
turning
mean,
flammable after, like, if it was in a copper system, it
it was
depended
in
on its
iron. I would take it out of systems. I was taking it out of systems and also testing it in,
it would be
let's see, what
flammable.
year?
It's
Like
propylene glycol. It's
2014?
the concentrate. Back then, they used to make you mix it, and you'd pump it
Right,
in, and you had
right.
to check it and be within 30 degrees or whatever. And it was so hard because it always moved around. People would just pump in pure, propylene glycol, and in an event of a fire, the stuff would go off and it would come out as a fine mist, and the mist ended up being volatile. It was
Flammable.
flammable. So
Then
Because
you have
it was never
flamethrowers.
diluted. Yeah, and you'd have flamethrower for a
it didn't
second.
get diluted. So you're supposed to do like a 50-50 mixture. And then they went back to the drawing board and were like, oh, it doesn't work. So now you can only buy pre-mix from the factory propylene glycol. And from my understanding, there's only 2 brands right now that are listed that are allowed to be used. Because in an ep98, they gave you till November 30th of 2017 or 18, I think it was, November 30th of 2018. You had up to that date. Everything after that has to be the new listed antifreeze.
Damn, Tyson, that's good. Look at you on your shit,
You are
man.
on your
And I
shit. I
don't,
like that. That's why we have you
Yeah.
and
on
I
over
have
and
to
over.
look through the ep25 to locate that date, but it's in there. And I don't remember if it's in the 2016 book or if it's in the 2010 book.
Yeah, Tyson saved me on that one. I showed the state the book after Tyson told me about it on IG. Tommy's talking about the hydro testing thing.
Hydro
Yeah.
test, yeah.
So Daryl is saying he's not going to drain the glycol every single year just to touch the flow switch each year. Joe said you electrically test it. I think Bobby said finger bang it.
Well, if you finger bang it, then you need to definitely put that on your report,
Oh,
as in that
Janine,
is how you got the alarm.
there are 3 listed: Lubrizol, Viking, and JCI.
Yeah, Viking. I know there's Viking, there's Tyco, LFP, and what's the third one she's saying?
JCI?
I think that's what you said,
Like
yeah.
Johnson Controls?
Lubrizol, Viking, and JCI. The incident that Brian is referring to is the fire with the fatality in Truckee, California. That's when they made all of the changes to the antifreeze.
Jeez.
Janine, thank you for joining us. Yo,
Thank
Chandler,
you,
what up?
Janine.
Oh yeah, Alex said he learned how to about the forward flow. He learned how to, but they said it's not required in Georgia yet.
Okay, that's probably why I never heard of it, but that's cool. Alex, I definitely want to hear more about that.
Yeah, write some stuff down. Tell us all the good stuff that you're thinking of over the next couple days, Alex. Start writing it down so you can tell us. And then you have to have a fire watch. Oh yeah, that's right. I think he's talking about if you were to isolate your lines, like you were saying, you drill all the mechanical T's, isolate the lines and test, wouldn't you need a fire watch if you just because now
Yeah.
you impeded the rest
Well,
of the system.
I mean, if you're in these jurisdictions where I'm at, if you're on an existing building and you drain the sprinkler system and you're doing like a modification like a TI, you are the fire watch. You're the guy that has the certification in his wallet. You shut the system down. You don't leave that building until that system is filled back up again. So that even includes like, okay, time for lunch. Somebody with a certification needs to stay there
Yeah,
the
you
entire
can't
time.
all leave and go to breakfast.
Yeah,
So
not everybody doesn't just pile into the
that's
truck and go up the
even
street
for
to.
an
dude,
occupied
Elena just
building.
rolls out. See ya. I'll see
Yeah,
you
and
later.
then
I'm
and then
going to
you're
lunch.
gone for lunch for an hour, and the sprinkler system's turned off for an hour. Oh, I'm at lunch, and then there's a fire, and you roll up, and there's trucks there. You're like, what the hell happened? I just went to lunch.
Yeah.
No, you got to stay there while it's shut down.
I
Yeah, so
agree.
like as what you're saying, if I were to go into a place and drain one zone and work on it, would need a fire watch. But if I got to drain more, than one zone, or like on one instance I had to drain a whole building because someone tapped a line off of like a riser, and that's the video you see me using the ProPress. And so I had
Yeah.
the whole building drained. So I had to get a fire watch just for that. But if I was going to also use an open flame in a building that was completely drained, they wanted like a pumper truck hooked up,
Oh my
a
gosh.
firefighter on every other floor, like the whole nine fire watch. So that's why everyone's like, why wouldn't you just solder it? Like, well, because this just saved thousands and thousands and thousands and hours, dollars and
Yeah.
hours. So no lunch,
Well,
right, Bobby?
and
Yes, exactly. No lunch. No
And
lunches.
NFPA 25 has that little section in there that tells you, when a system needs to have firewatch or not,
Well, I was on site doing a fire inspection when there was a fire in a unit, an apartment, and then the sprinkler put it out.
What
Nice.
Yeah.
what happened?
So I was on, it was a garden style apartment complex, and I was there. So this company ran in a crew, and then the leader of the crew was always the sprinkler guy. So I had my guys all work in one building together, and then the extinguisher guys would go out, go around and stuff in the fire alarm. And we're on the other side of the property, and I hear a water flow go off. So it was just weird because the fire alarm guy was at the building that I was at. So I was like, "Hey man, is that you?" I was like, "Did you like, do something or whatever?" Maybe he's like, "No." And then I called the extinguisher guy just to call him. I don't know if, he did something. I was just kind of going through everything, and he was like, "No, it's not me." So I roll in my truck, just go right down there, and I get in there. It was a Indian family, and I walk in with maybe 2 inches of the standing water in the apartment, and this sprinkler head's just blasting the kitchen.
Screaming.
Ooh.
Yeah. And she's like, "I wasn't doing anything. Nothing happened. I don't know. It just went off." I'm like, "Yeah, sure, sure, sure it did."
Well, at least you're there. You could run over there and
Man.
turn the riser off,
Yeah,
take a head out of the head box, put a new sprinkler head in it, turn the system back on,
I
Yeah.
provide fire
did.
protection
I
again. Yeah.
did.
You being there definitely saved some type of water flow. I mean, it would
Oh,
have
for
taken longer if
sure.
you weren't there.
For sure. I got
Joe
there
says,
pretty fast.
Janine, I see that you are currently blowing me up right now, but I am I'm not. I can't read these right now. Fire them off in the chat. Joe Smith says, Bobby, I listened to the show where you did the 8-inch live tie-in with the freezer plug. That's scary. That was scary. And after I did that, I had to do. Then I like, they were like, all right, well, let's do a couple more. So once I did the one, and I don't. When I talk about that on the show, I also have a couple of videos of it on my Instagram. Maybe I'll make another video with those old videos. But anyways, we had to add an 8-inch butterfly in a bottom floor of a hospital to an OSMY that hadn't been exercised in 20 years. So, and they said every time they have ever drained this, the vacuum that it creates does something to the rubbers that then they all leak while it pressurizes, and it's all above ductwork and above emergency rooms and everything. So they wouldn't let me drain it. So in this meeting, for the very first time ever, I've heard this come out of somebody's mouth where we'll freeze the 8-inch and he can put the valve in. I started laughing in the meeting with all these people. I'm like, you guys crazy? Like, is this a joke? And they're like, no, we do it all the time. Like, you don't have the experience for this job, kid. And I'm like,
What?
are you serious? Are you gonna freeze it? All right, yep, okay, cool. Well, let's do it then. Go for it. I call like my boss. He's like, it's like a rare thing. Like nobody has ever heard of it, and they say that like we're not paying for it, we're not scheduling it, but if the freeze guy tells you it's shut off, you go after it. I'm like, all right, here we go. And it was very nerve wracking. It's very
They
nerve
put like a
wracking.
jacket around it, like an insulated jacket, and
Yeah, so it was
then
like figure it was like maybe 10, maybe it was like the equivalent of 10-inch or 12-inch pipe cut in half, placed over the 8-inch, and then they seal it all up with putty, any little crack, any little hole, and then they have like a 3/4 outlet that goes in the bottom and it pumps in liquid nitrogen with a 3/4 vent that comes out the top, and it's just like blowing out like that spooky cold air. And
imagine trying to explain what you do, like on a first date off of a dating app. It's like, what do you do for a living? Well, I
and,
freeze pipe.
and
Yeah.
these guys are just great at what they do, and so basically like if they put it on, I think they put it on at 1 a.m. It was ready to go by like 7 a.m. That's how long it took to freeze it through. like because they want to get it to like negative 200 and something degrees. And then he's like, all right,
Yeah, that's super,
he said you should
so
be.
sketchy,
He said you should be good.
scary, man.
Should be good. So you got one guy in the fire pump room, and you got one guy at the end of the dry valve. And you can't isolate the dry valve because if you shut the OS&Y, then you don't have access to the drain. So with the OS&Y open and the dry valve live, you crack the drain, and then you can see the pressure start to drop. And the guy in the pump room on the radio, the pump's not turning on, and then the water stops, and the pump's still not turning on, and then you take it off, and you're looking at an ice plug that you know has 205 psi on the other side of it
That's
Whoa.
insane.
down the 8 inch, and all that's between you
Wow.
and that ice plug is like
Woo.
is a groove that's in there, and you slap the butterfly, the check valve, and the butterfly on it like as fast as you possibly can, and then you got to drill a mechanical T. This is the sketchy part. Once you get the valve on, you drill a mechanical T on the ice plug side before your butterfly, so you can then put matching pressure on the other side of the ice plug because it just will be a bullet when they start to thaw it. So I pumped 205 into the other side, and then we went about the rest of our day. As soon as that 205 was in, they shut the nitrogen off, and then you can see you literally see it thawing. Like you can tell, you can like. Your first question is when will I know? Like you just know. You could literally see like the frost, like shrinking
Yeah,
over the course of a couple hours.
yeah, that's insane. I've never seen it done. I've heard about it. I've seen videos on the internet about it. Never physically done one.
There's a
Never
couple
seen one
guys on
done.
Instagram, couple companies, and they put out some videos. It's pretty cool, man. If you ever get the opportunity to do it, just say yes, sir. It works.
Yeah.
It works good.
Wow.
Later, boys. Just got a service call. All right, Daryl, tag us. Let's see what
Roll
it's
out.
about.
How, Daryl, how
Hefsky.
long of a drive is that service call? Was it like 2
I'm
hours?
on call. Life of a service guy. What? How long's the drive, Daryl? Make that money, honey. Hey, Bobby, I just sent you and Brian the information sheets on the 3 antifreeze that are available in case any of your viewers are interested. I opened it, hon, and it was like pages. Let me see. Let me open it again. Oh, Brian said thank you. Wow. When'd you fit that in, Bri? Yeah, this is a
See,
lot. This is a lot of
I
reading
know
right
that
now.
one of them's Tyco LFP. I didn't hear her say that one. So there's Tyco LFP. There's Freeze Master, which is made by Viking. And then what's the third one?
Advantages of Freeze Master.
JCI.
I don't know what that is. That's
I guess it's
Freeze
Johnson Control.
Master. Freeze Master. Tyco LFP.
yeah, there's Tyco LFP,
Freeze Master Antifreeze.
Viking.
I don't know. Then this big one, Freeze Master.
And that third one, there's one of them you can only get it like in 55-gallon drums and totes, and the other one you can get it in like little 5-gallon buckets. So imagine if you have a loop that's like 40 gallons, you got to get 5-gallon bucket all the way up to 40 gallons, and you got to like pump every single 5-gallon bucket in. It's like, oh my gosh, can't I just get a 55-gallon drum of
That
this?
stuff ruins everything.
It's
Oh,
expensive too. They're
ruins
trying to like
ruins everything.
phase it out by just
Oh
making it
my
overpriced.
God. Just make it wet, make it dry, get rid of it. We had a situation where there was all these complexes that all the exposed piping was copper, and then once it went up through the floors, it did see PVC, and it was a glycol system. And so the glycol and the copper were not having fun. They were not getting along. And so we had to go and we had to take all the copper out. And it was just like the stuff that we were draining out of there was not, it was gross. It was awful.
Yeah.
And you have to like collect it. Like we're like with homeowners
Yeah,
and they're watching us.
right.
They don't want you there. And we're like pumping it into barrels and dollying it out and putting it on the truck and getting it out. And like every day your outfit would be ruined.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Awful. I don't like dealing with that shit. I want to see a dry system or a wet system. Or like, just get rid of the antifreeze altogether. See ya. All right, what do we got? Anybody in the chat? I put a little timer on your voice earlier when you were talking forever. Lubrizol is the third one they make Freeze Master. Antifreeze is a smell that I'm still not used to. Hefsky says, "Can you get me a job, please?" Hefsky, where are you located? Holla back. See,
And what's your tell them to contact me on Instagram, Retrofit Brian.
No,
Come
don't do
talk to
that.
me.
No, don't do that. Just where are you located? Tell us right here. We'll set you up. You don't want to get stuck in his DMs.
Yeah,
Probably could work. We probably could work something out, Hefsky.
we'll help you out.
What else? What else? Anybody else? Anybody else got any
Anything
questions for
else?
us? 1 hour just flies by. Okay, we got 8 likes, 706 subscribers. Hit the like button, hit the
Hit the
subscribe
like
button.
button,
Thanks for
guys.
watching us. If you
It
think
does
that,
help us.
if you know a sprinkler fitter or like a sprinkler legend that you think we should talk to, hit me up. Hit me in my DMs. Let me know. We'll schedule them. We're actively scheduling right now. We need someone for the 19th and the 21st of
Let's
December.
see. Yeah.
We're not doing a show on the 26th, right?
No,
No.
I'm gonna be out
Are
of
we,
state.
are we gonna do a show on the 28th? Or
I'm
no?
good with that.
No, you
If
want to?
anybody watches in Las Vegas too, I need some G card holders, some certified sprinkler installers. We're hiring, we're growing, we're expanding.
Let's go. Who's in Vegas? Who's
I
in
say we do the 12th,
Nevada?
14th, 19th, and then 21st, and then we take off, Christmas week. We'll
Boom.
have our
Take
families
off.
and
All
stuff.
right. Love it.
Yeah.
Christmas week. Boom. Oh, damn. We already crushed his calendar. All right. That's it. I don't even have January. See you later. Notes. So January, Chad's gonna get us somebody. Chad's getting us someone, a legend from Cali for early
Awesome.
January. I think that
Awesome.
Janine has got a couple guests lined up for January. We'll talk after this, Janine. Mike Z, Fighter Eliminator, 1330 antifreeze.
That's Arco. Is that the Arco brand?
Fighter
Freeze
Eliminator.
Fighter.
Fighter freeze. I don't know.
I didn't know
Sorry I
that
came
Arco
late. I'm
had a
on the
brand.
road.
That's
Where does
awesome.
Tyson work? What does he do? Seems like a pretty smart guy. He's a wicked smart guy. Hey, this is Tyson from Vegas. He's got all the cards. Tell us about all
You
the
ever heard about him?
Hit us with the
Come on,
cards real
man.
quick. Hit us with the cards real quick before we go. Because it's different than anywhere else.
State Fire Marshal, G card, a J card, an I card, an underground card, and a private hydrant card. I have an International Code Council certification, Fire Inspector 1 and 2, OSHA 30, and trying to follow in Brian's footsteps here and get my NISAT, going for my NISAT 1, probably middle of December.
Let's go. Good for you.
Let's
So, and
go,
then the
man. That's
cards is like,
awesome.
well, what are the cards? Like, you need one card to do fire alarm. You need one card to do vertical pipe, or what?
G card certification in the state of Nevada certifies you to do all water-based fire protection systems in commercial. A J card certifies you to do all water-based fire protection systems in residential occupancies. An I card certifies you to do standpipe in high rises. And a private underground card allows me to do underground from a point of connection all the way to the base of a riser. And then private hydrant is to do basically inspections on them, work the yoke on the top of the hydrant, do inspections, and do service and maintenance on them.
There's a lot going on in Nevada.
Yeah,
I
there's
think
a
my
lot.
license like covers all that,
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
right?
I don't even need a license. I just do
Yeah,
it.
Georgia's just like, I mean, we could
Yeah.
replace Brian with his kid tomorrow, and I don't even know if the
You
people would know.
got to have an F card to work on fire alarm here. You got to have an H card to do hoods. You got to have a card to do fire extinguishers. I don't remember I think it's an E card.
That's
You have to have a
crazy.
card to do. You have to have a card to do hydrostatic tests on extinguisher cylinders.
Off topic, but
Oh,
Tyson, your pawn stuff is dope. Hit Tyson up for a fireproof shirt. The design is sick. That's a sick resume. Awesome stuff, dude. Love Vegas. Hope to see you at the next national show held in Vegas. Telling you, it's fan favorite. It's Tyson. That's why we keep bringing
yeah.
him
You
back.
got it. So
How's
when
he?
NFPA comes back to Las Vegas, you got to go.
Oh,
Yeah,
definitely.
and you guys came out here and didn't even come over and see the pond, or
We
you didn't even
we
go.
we
We
didn't go anywhere. We didn't know
We
what to
didn't go get.
do.
we were
We didn't go get the
focused.
tacos.
I know. We should have went a day earlier than we went.
And you
Yeah.
hung out at the worst casino on the strip.
That's it. It's the only rooms, man. We had a great time at the Luxor. All right. It was
No one
great.
died while we were there.
Bed was comfy, and
Yeah.
our bed was comfy,
Yeah.
and it smelled great in there. Thank
Oh,
Who's
you.
that
Thank you.
person? Who's that person that asked about the pond, and how do they know about the pond? They follow me on social.
That's Chad. He knows everything. He's
Uh,
a supporter from the beginning. That's
Yeah.
Stay
Chad.
tuned. Off topic. There's a there's an episode coming out on the Pond Digger podcast. It's going to be fire that I was a guest speaker on.
Well, let's go.
That's sweet.
Tag me, and I'll share it to the
Yeah,
community.
please tag it on me, and then we'll all go and watch it.
Hell
All
yeah.
right.
Really interesting.
Hell yeah. And
Hey,
yeah,
thank you
that
so
was
much,
Tommy
Tyson.
that was Tommy Howard saying hit you up for a shirt.
Nice. Yeah, hit me up. Hit me up in my messenger on my Instagram, and I'll get some made for you.
Yeah. So awesome, great show. Thank you guys for joining
Yeah,
us.
thank you.
Tyson's always a
Thanks
pleasure
for having
talking to
me,
you.
guys.
Thanks, man.